We are 2 days post the first presidential debate, and yes, Joe Biden gave an underwhelming performance at that debate, but he had a rally yesterday where he came out and was stronger. I've done videos on both. But 2 days after the debate, I'm still seeing major stories and top stories on websites of major news sites talking about what would happen should Biden drop out, some calling for Biden to drop out. Look, we're too close to the convention. Biden's not going to drop out. If he were, the Democrats would have to pick somebody else at the convention. It would be messy. It would be very messy because all of the delegates are pledged to Biden and they're picked out of a pool of Biden backers, Biden supporters. So they would have to defect from Biden to pick somebody else. And then from there, it would be, they would have to get a majority vote. It would be a messy process. The presumption would be that Kamala Harris would become the nominee. But there's other people on the Democratic side who could potentially step up and fill that role. Now, one of the articles I read actually kind of broke down what could happen after the convention. Should Joe Biden need to step aside after the convention? Again, it's messy. The Democrat Party would be able to pick a new candidate, potentially, depending on how close to the election it is. I mean, they are technically allowed to print or to select a new candidate up to election day. However, with a lot of states having to pre-print their ballots, that is a problem. But they would reconvene, pick somebody else. But obviously, after they go through the nomination process, it's more than likely that Kamala Harris would become the nominee. She would pick a running mate, and they would finish out the election cycle then. Now, there's also some questions of what would happen after Joe Biden wins in November should he become incapacitated and unable to run. Well, per the presidential line of succession, if he were to have to step aside, should he pass, whatever may happen, Kamala Harris would become the president. And the 20th Amendment says that she would become the president-elect. However, there's also some question as to at what point does she become the president-elect. Is it after the actual election, or is it after the electors meet and certify the elections? Is it after Congress certifies the vote on January 6th? At what point does she officially, by law, become the president-elect should Joe Biden need to step aside? It would be very, very messy. Joe Biden's not going to step aside. He's not going anywhere. He had a bad night. I've heard multiple things. He was battling a cold. He had multiple event stops and a very, very busy day in Atlanta. Prior to the debate, I'm not making excuses, but it was one bad night. We need to give him a break. He is 82 years old. And just because he didn't give us everything we wanted in that debate, we don't need to throw this election into chaos and upend everything just because we didn't get what we wanted. We do not burn it to the ground because we didn't get our way in the debate. If we burn it to the ground, there is a good chance we give the election to either Donald J. Trump or whoever the Republicans may select to replace him should they have to replace their own candidate.